So get this. What if a $500 mistake in an ad campaign wasn't a total disaster? What if it was actually the secret ingredient for a $10,000 win? We're about to break down this wild story where an AI didn't just stop a campaign from crashing and burning. It literally used the failure as fuel to build something huge and profitable.
This quote right here, this is the core idea that changes everything. See, in the old days, a failed ad campaign was just, well, money down the drain. But in this new world, every bad ad, every wrong turn is just another piece of data. The AI learns what doesn't work, and that is just as valuable as finding what does. It completely flips how we think about risk.
And here it is, the moment of crisis. We're only 6 hours into a 24-hour challenge, and boom, $500, just torched. If you've ever run ads, you know that sinking feeling in your stomach, right? Watching your budget just evaporate with absolutely nothing to show for it. It is a marketer's absolute worst nightmare.
And it gets worse. That $500? It vanished in just 1 hour. That's the scary part about digital advertising. Disasters can happen at lightning speed. A person might not even check the dashboard until the next day, but by then, the loss could be catastrophic. AI agents, though, they're built for exactly this. They operate at the speed of data, not at the speed of a human. Okay, so let's get into the first big move, what we're calling the autonomous pivot. And this isn't just about damage control. This is about how the AI figured out what was wrong and started fixing it, all by itself, without a single human needing to jump in. This is the exact moment the system went from total crisis to complete control.
So what did the AI actually see? It spotted that classic nightmare scenario, tons of money being spent on ads that nobody was clicking on. You know, a super low click-through rate, or CTR. It was basically just shoveling cash into a black hole. The agent caught this disastrous trend in minutes, not hours.
Now, this is all possible because of this really key concept called bounded autonomy. The best way to think about it is like this. You let the AI solve problems on its own, but you put it inside a playground that you've built for it. You set the rules, you set the boundaries, so it can't just go wild and spend all your money. It's incredibly powerful, but it's also safe.
And this slide just lays out the AI's playbook perfectly. It's a clean, 4-step recovery sequence. First, it detected that high-spend, low CTR problem. Step 2, it immediately hit the pause button to stop the bleeding. Step 3, it pivoted, shifting that budget over to a much safer retargeting campaign. And finally, step 4, it sent a request to another AI for brand new ads. See? It didn't just stop the problem, it kicked off the solution.
All right, so the disaster was averted, the fire's out. But this is where the story gets really interesting. The system completely flipped from playing defense to playing offense, using what it learned from that initial failure to find a winning strategy. This is where we see the real power of a multi-agent loop in action.
Now to do this, the agent was using a whole toolkit. It was analyzing things like bid density, which is basically just how much competition there is for ad space, and user intent, trying to figure out what people were actually searching for. And it was doing all this across both Google and Meta at the same time, using tools like AdScale AI and Zapier Central to keep everything coordinated. I mean, this is a level of real-time analysis that is just, it's pretty much impossible for a human to keep up with. And by hour 18, the AI had found something. It had struck gold. Just look at this chart. The new ads were doing pretty well in the US, giving a solid 2x return. But then look at the UK. They were absolutely crushing it with a 5x return. I mean, the data couldn't have been clearer. The UK was the place to be. So what did the AI do? It did something a human might hesitate to do. It had zero emotional attachment to the US market. It just followed the math. In seconds, it reallocated $4,000 of the ad budget from the US to the UK. This wasn't a gut feeling, it wasn't a hunch, it was a cold, hard, calculated move based on pure data.
And here's the incredible result. By the final hour of the challenge, the campaign was just humming along at a spend rate of $10,000. That painful $500 loss from the beginning, that wasn't a failure at all. That was the price of admission for figuring out how to run a massively profitable campaign. This story is just amazing, but let's zoom out a little. What does it mean for the bigger picture? What's the fundamental advantage here? Let's break down why this AI-driven approach is a genuine game changer compared to, the way we've always done things.
This slide really says it all. I mean, look at the left. The traditional way is expensive, it's slow, and it's always reacting to problems after they've already happened. Now look at the right.
The new way is way more efficient, it works in milliseconds, and, this is the most important part, it gets ahead of problems before they can even start. It's all about preemption, not just reaction. So let's look at a perfect example of that preemptive power, fighting creative fatigue. We've all seen this happen. It's when your audience gets so sick of seeing the same ad over and over that they just stop responding. Now, a human might notice this trend days later, after the money's been wasted. But the AI, it sees the trend developing in real time. Before your return on investment even starts to dip, it's already swapping in a fresh ad to keep the campaign running at peak performance.
Okay, so we've seen this incredibly powerful new way to manage growth and generate leads. But, getting someone to click on an ad, that's just the first step. What happens next? This leads us to the next very logical piece of the puzzle for building a truly autonomous business: sales.
The really big takeaway here is a total shift in how we think about this stuff. Like this slide says, with the right AI tools, managing a $10,000 ad budget can actually be less work than trying to manually wrestle with a tiny one. The AI handles all the complex, minute-to-minute decisions, and that frees you up to actually think about the big picture strategy.
And that really brings us to this final, pretty provocative thought. We've seen how an AI can manage and scale your advertising on its own. But what happens after that click? What if an AI could also handle the sales calls, nurture the leads, and even close the deals, all while you're asleep? It's a powerful question, and it really sets the stage for where all of this technology is heading next.